The news in the US always makes it sound like America is the only place people get rich. They say Mexico is poor, full of problems, and people are always trying to leave to find a better life in the US. That's a huge, embarrassing lie. While the US middle class is shrinking and struggling, Mexico's middle class is actually getting bigger and stronger. Yeah, you heard that right. The country that they tell you is falling apart is actually building a strong future for its regular families, while many American families feel like they're falling behind. The US media keeps this secret because it makes them look bad. It makes them ask hard questions of why their country is having problems. And I'm about to pull back the curtain and show you exactly how Mexico is doing it, why the US isn't, and why the news doesn't want you to know this shocking truth. Let's talk numbers, but the real ones, not the fake ones that the news shows you. The US media wants you to believe that American dream is still alive for everybody. But here's the truth. For many years now, the number of families in the American middle class has been getting smaller. More people are falling into lower income groups, and only a very tiny few are getting super rich. Many families feel like they're working harder just to stay in the same place or even fall behind. Now let's look south. In Mexico, something amazing is happening. For the last 20 years, a huge number of people have been moving up into the middle class. They're buying homes, they're getting jobs, they're sending their kids to school, and they're enjoying more things that life has to offer. More and more Mexican families are seeing their lives get better year after year. This isn't a secret anymore. Economists and smart people who study money have seen it happening. The news doesn't show you this because it creates a clear picture, an undeniable picture. One country's middle class is growing while the other one is just struggling. This is a clear and sharp difference that the media works hard to hide from you. They avoid the comparison at all costs because it reveals a massive problem they don't want to talk about. How do we know that the middle class is shrinking while Mexico's is booming? I'm not just making it up. Just look at what the smartest money experts in the world and organizations are saying. These are the authorities that the media should be quoting, but won't. Experts like the World Bank and the OECD, a big group of rich countries, have done deep research. They show that in Mexico, the number of people who are part of the middle class has grown by millions since the year 2000. It's one of the fastest growth rates in the world. They're going from lower income to middle income, a huge step for stability. Now let's look at the US. The same experts, they show that the share of income going to the American middle class has been going down over the years. The US media never connects these two facts. And what I hear a lot in my comments is people say that Mexico's a failed state, which isn't true. And what the media also tells you is that the economy in the US is doing great. They don't want you to ask, if America is so great, why are more people slipping backwards while millions of Mexicans are climbing forwards? Let's look even deeper at the sneaky media tricks. They treat the two countries like they exist on different planets. When the US news talks about job losses in the US, they usually blame China. They almost never connect American job problems to Mexican successes. Why? Because showing Mexico's middle class boom forces them to talk about why Mexico is getting more jobs. The truth is, many companies are leaving Asia and moving their factories right next door into Mexico. The process is called nearshoring, and it creates stable middle class jobs for Mexican families. If the US media admitted to this, the question would quickly become, why are US politicians and companies making it easier for jobs to go to Mexico instead of staying here? The media avoids this because it's too close to home, really. It forces them to talk about unfair trade rules, expensive US healthcare costs, which companies hate, and low US worker protections. Instead of discussing these hard problems in the system, they stick to easy, simple story. Mexico is a source of problems. That's what they say, not a source of success. They fear the truthful comparisons because it exposes American policy failures. Why does media ignore this amazing success story happening right next door to them? It's not an accident. It's a careful choice driven by two forces: profit and political fear. Reason number one, They protect America's best story. For decades, the US media has sold a story where America is always number one and everyone else is struggling to catch up. This makes Americans feel really good, which keeps them relaxed and watching TV. If the media admits that Mexico is succeeding where the US is failing, it destroys that comforting story. This would make people ask uncomfortable questions about their taxes, why new jobs aren't being created, or why their healthcare insurance is so expensive. The media would rather keep you comfortable and patriotic than tell you that the truth might make you demand real change. They make more money selling pride than selling complicated truth, because that's pretty much what it is. Reason number two, hiding the cost of US policy. Mexico's economy is doing better in part because they made it easier for companies to build factories there. Lower costs and simpler rules, really. The US media won't talk about this because it forces a discussion about high US healthcare and energy costs. If the media said companies move to Mexico because US healthcare is too expensive for them, it would make millions of Americans angry at US healthcare companies and the politicians that make up the laws. The media avoids this entire topic because those are powerful people and companies that they don't want to fight. They hide the success of Mexico to protect the status quo, the way things are right now in the US. Now, I just want to take a minute from your time here from this video. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just recently created a WhatsApp group. The link is in the description. What I wanted to say quickly is that I didn't make it to sell you anything there either. I made it because it's easier to communicate with me there if you're interested in that, because there's quite a few people that want to have conversations, and it's also a place where I'll always have that group no matter what happens to me. I do sometimes talk about a little bit of sensitive information on this channel, and if I do disappear here, at least I'll have that group. You can join it, you don't have to. I appreciate it. I appreciate everything. I appreciate you coming this far in this video, and let's get back to it. But the good news in this is that we all know the lie and we know how to fix it. The solution is to stop letting media control the conversation and start demanding the truth. Whenever you see a news story about job loss in the US or a struggle in the middle class, you need to demand that they use global data, not just local statistics. You need to change your news diet. Stop watching the shows that only talk about border and fear, and start seeking out information about Mexican businesses and technology. Look up articles about the huge modern cities like Monterrey and Guadalajara. See the innovations that the US media never shows. Look for companies that are opening in Mexico to understand the real economic shift. You need to focus on their growing economy, not the small, scary problems that media uses for clickbait. Talk money, not walls. Change your conversation with your friends. When someone brings up the border, pivot to something like money. Tell them, did you know that Mexico's middle class is growing faster than ours? You need to talk about why they're getting ahead and why you're falling behind. By talking about money and opportunity, you focus on the truth and not the fear. This whole secret about Mexico's growing middle class is actually a massive opportunity for both countries. What is the huge opportunity, you might ask? If Mexico's middle class gets bigger, they buy more things. They need more cars, more computers, more food, and more modern services. Where do you think they often buy these things? From the US. This means that a rich, successful Mexico is the best customer for the US, the best one they could ever ask for. When Mexico's economy booms, it creates stable demand and job rights in America. We need to stop seeing this relationship as a competition and start seeing it as a $1 billion partnership, maybe $100 billion partnership, maybe even more. The opportunity is also political. When we stop talking about fear and start talking about mutual economic success, we can work together on things like energy, technology, and building roads and factories that benefit from for both nations. By demanding the truth, you can unlock the political power to create laws that help majority of people in both countries, not just small groups of billionaires at the top. This is the chance to build a huge, powerful North American economy that benefits from workers and families across the entire continent. Now you have a mission to use this shocking truth to demand prosperity for everybody. Mission step one: Challenge the narrative. The next time you see a story that only talks about chaos in Mexico, stop, comment, or say something back. Say something like, that's not the whole story. Why isn't the media talking about Mexico's booming middle class? Every single time you challenge the lie, you push the truth forward. Mission step 2: demand nearshoring truths. Ask your politicians and local business leaders why companies are moving jobs to Mexico. Demand to know what changes need to be in the US, maybe like lower healthcare costs or better work training, so those jobs stay or return to the US, or maybe more jobs are made. Use Mexico's success as a mirror to fix your own problems. Mission step 3: spread the word. If this video made you realize you've been tricked, imagine how many of your friends feel the same way. The media lied, but we're gonna use the truth to build a better future together, I think. If you watched this far, I'm sure you liked this video. And I have good news. I have more, like this one right here. This is 10 things Mexico is doing better than the USA. I know you'll like it, so click it. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.